What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of A Minute with Stony Stone, and I am your host, Stony Stone, with my co-host
Darren with Team Swift.
Darren. Now he's just like eager to get it.
I
He's
know.
just
Come
ready.
on, let me go.
He went from what am I supposed to say to now he's just dying to say it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Man, we got a pretty cool lineup tonight. We got James Stone as one of our guests from NorCal Guides and Sportsman Association. He's going to be talking to us about the hot topic everybody's doing this weekend.
Yep.
Is what?
Salmon fishing.
Salmon fishing.
Catching the heck out of them.
Catching the heck. So James is going to tell us a little bit about what he knows, and maybe we'll learn a little something through James on what's going on with salmon, because you know everything you read on Facebook is true.
Yep. Yep. It is.
It is. Just believe Facebook.
Yeah.
No, we'll cut to the chase and get it from James' perspective of what's going on with the salmon season. And for us this weekend, fishing report is we didn't go fishing.
No. Couple of
Um,
injured old farts.
You know, when you get so I had a birthday last week, and thank you all who wished me happy birthday, and those guys who didn't. But it wasn't publicized, so if you knew, you knew, and if you didn't know, you didn't know.
You weren't supposed to
You
know.
weren't supposed to know, but 58 years old, and dude, I'm feeling every minute
Yeah.
of 58, and definitely reaching that old fart status, and definitely got a back issue going on. We're trying to sort out here, and it's first time ever where I didn't go fishing because of my back.
Yeah.
And it sucks. I'm, sitting here. My wife's ready to kick me out of the house. And don't you want to go fishing? I might have to go fish from shore or something.
Now you know why I missed the bash up there.
Oh, dude, I made fun of you. Oh,
Yeah.
Dude, I feel bad now because it is debilitating right now.
Oh yeah.
But and then you got your knee issue.
Yeah, I got a knee issue going on now.
So
it's like bursitis or tendonitis or
Tomitis.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sucks getting to be an old fart. Anyway, we're gonna get on to some happier times, and I think James is in the waiting room. We're gonna get him unmuted and get a proper introduction. Mr. James Stone, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, guys. How are you?
Oh, there he is. How are you,
How are
man?
you?
It's good to see you virtually.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, so I want to tell a little story before we get going with James. I met James. Started fishing during COVID. You guys know that's when I kind of picked the rod and reel up and started learning who the players were. And that was in 2020.
Yep.
And through that time, I had gone through like 4 boats. I was buying a boat, fixing one up, buying a boat, fixing one up. And finally, it's like, you know what? I saved up enough money. I'm going to buy a brand new boat. But I really actually liked the boat that I had. It's just a little too small.
Yeah.
Well, I got this brainy idea after our 420 meeting, our safety meeting. We usually have a safety meeting at 420 every day. And during that safety meeting, I had this brilliant idea. Is like, you know what? I'm going to raffle this boat off. I don't really need the money, so let's see what it's worth. But then I'm like, well, now I got to claim that money. Well, what if I just donate it? I'm going to donate it somewhere. And I thought, who better to give it to than James Stone with NorCal's Guide to Sportsman Association? So we raffled that boat off, and James Newman, the catfish guy, actually won the boat. And we took those proceeds and donated it to NorCal's Guides Association to do everything that they do. And
I just want to know how many people you suckered into. How much did you donate?
dude, I think it was like what, James? I think it was like $1,500, $1,800, something like that.
I think that was all right. I think that sounds about right. Yeah, it was a very, very generous donation and very cool way to connect people within the community, right? I mean, fishing community is very small, but it's very much needed to look after each other because we are an industry and a community that it's like constantly under closures, attacks, and fighting an uphill battle for better times. So,
and this is why I wanted to get you on, James. I know you had a lot of you're all over the internet. People know who you are, and I appreciate you taking the time to get on my podcast. I feel honored. To go from, man, this guy didn't know how to fish, and now what? He's running a weekly podcast. What's going on? So if I can't fish, I can at least talk about it.
Yeah.
I can catch fish. But anyway, James, tell us a little bit about who you are. What do you do for somebody who might not know you, which is probably rare, but give us a little rundown about you, and then let's talk about salmon.
Yeah, sure. I was a Bay Area boy that grew up fishing a lot of lakes and in the Bay and in the Delta and out in the ocean, and loved to also fish the rivers when I was young. Got big into bass fishing all through my high school and collegiate years, and fished a lot of amateur tournaments, and fished really hard tournament wise. I lived in Sacramento, went to Sac State, graduated there, and decided to move up to an area that was fun and near and dear to my heart because of duck hunting and salmon fishing. And of course, that's the Sacramento Valley. And met my bride and Sonia, and we got married, had two wonderful young boys, and we resided for a little over 17 years in the up in the Yuba City area is where I was around, and same area as you, Marysville, Yuba, Sutter County, both,
In fact, I think I took pictures of your house when you sold it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we ended up, my wife and kids ended up moving up to Idaho, and the beginning of 22, and I finished moving to Idaho last year, about a year ago now, so May. So it's been a full year of residency in Idaho now for me, but it's been a large transition, working hard on behalf of NorCal Guides and Sportsmen's Association. While I resided in Sutter County, I was a full-time fishing and hunting guide. I think that's how a lot of people knew me. I ran Elite Sportsman Guide Service. And I was also nominated to be the volunteer president in 2016 for NorCal Guides and Sportsmen's Association, which is an organization that started in 1992 officially on paper, but originally started in 1972 in a bar in Redding, California. And we're called the West Coast Salmons and Steelheaders. And
Wow.
that group transitioned from 72 to 92 into NorCal Guides and Sportsmen's, and we're honored to carry the torch and carry the name. And we're into 2025, and we are very, very happy to be moving into our 34th year as an incorporated nonprofit, and working hard to fight for fisheries, fighting for hunting, and fighting for just, what we all love to do. Working within the regulations, working with agencies such as CDFW, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, National Marine Fisheries Service, NOAA Fisheries, also working with Bureau of Reclamation, DWR. The list goes on and on, working with all different sorts of groups. But I could answer any specific questions that you might have. But that kind of gives you a little background about my bio. So I've been all over California. I've been all over the fisheries, from the ocean, from the Delta to the inlands. I guided on the lakes as well. So got a lot of historical knowledge on our fisheries and practical experience. I'm not 58 yet, but turned 45, turned 45 last week. And I know about that joint pain and know about getting old. It's not fun.
This is true. This is true. So James, give us a rundown of salmon. I don't know all the ins and outs. There's just so much that seems to change, and so much of stuff you read. I know there was a 2-day, on the ocean 2-day opener, right? And I don't know a lot of particulars, but I see a lot of pictures of salmon. I see a lot of salmon being caught.
Yeah.
A
lot of big ones.
So if we wanted to start kind of like with the actual like salmon season, if you want to start with the season setting process, just so that all your listeners understand kind of how the seasons get set every year, and this is the same every year, so somebody could go back on this podcast and watch this section every year and understand the timeline. But I'll get phone calls, and normally it's after your safety meeting time where they're calling me, salmon, when is it? There's my joke back.
There you go.
But it's the reality is that the salmon season is always at the end of February, the last week of February. Every year, the state comes out with what they estimate were the last year's harvest numbers, what the last year's escapement numbers were, the fish that returned to the river, escaped the ocean, and escape the fishery, making it home to spawn in a hatchery or the river. And then they'll let you know what the next season's projections are for the seasons. And that's always the last week of February every year. And then the first week of March is the first round of PFMC, which stands for Pacific Fisheries Management Council. You can always go to their website at pcouncil.org. And that's the federal organization agency that basically oversees California, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho's all of their anadromous fisheries and ocean fisheries, such as halibut, salmon, HMS, which is highly migratory species, and groundfish species. And those are all regulated by the federal government through NOAA Fisheries. So that happens in March every year, the first week. And the job to leave March after that week is with 3 alternatives every single year. Alternative 1 is normally the most liberal fishing seasons, and then 2 is more conservative, and 3 is normally the most conservative, generally speaking, on the 3 alternatives. Then you come home, you do another round of public comment and 1 month off with a public meeting and public comment within the portal of electronics. And then the first to mid first week of April every year, the PFMC gets back together with all of that comment from the 3 alternatives and tries to make one alternative, either chooses one or blends 2 to make and shape a season, if that makes sense. So that's how that process works. Then from there, they announce the ocean salmon season at the PFMC. And then the following week, that then gets blessed by the Fish and Game Commission. And then the commission blesses that season. Then we work on the inland season for 3 weeks. And then we go back to the commission and they bless the inland season dates and they approve those. And that's how it works every year. And that's done by May 15th every year. So by the May 15th every year, from the last week of February to May 15th, you'll understand all of your ocean seasons and your inland seasons every single year. So for this year, to answer your question now, 2025, the alternatives were trying to get about 12 days of fishing on the ocean possible, but the state of California was very concerned about overfishing over amount of quota on such a low abundance of returning fish that was estimated by the government. I personally thought, and I'm on record saying in live videos and on our YouTube channel, NorCal Guides and Sportsmen Association YouTube channel, I'm saying I think there's over 200,000 fish, but the reality is those fish, a lot of them have been trucked, and therefore they're not going to find their way home. So how many fish will really return home? The estimate, if there was no fishing, the estimate this year was 165,000 fish are out there, and that we need a minimum of 122,000, 122 to actually spawn. So there's not that much wiggle room between harvest, inland, and ocean, and then getting to that 122 from 165. So therefore, they had very short seasons, which those 12 days were going to be allowed as a 2-day opener, June 7th and 8th, which is last weekend. And then they're going to count all the fish that they monitored, because like behind me, they had people in Sausalito, Tiburon, Berkeley, Emeryville, San Francisco. They were checking every boat, and they're going to try to get that number. And then they probably will do some type of expansion on that number. And then from there, they'll try to figure out what that total number is. In 2 to 3 weeks, we'll probably know closer what that number was, and if there will be the next opener, which will be another 2-day opener in July, right after the 4th. And if we don't hit the 7,000 number, then those 2 days would be open in July. And then again, if the number is still not hit, then you would get the 4 days in August and then the other 4 days at the end of August. However, with that all being said, then there's a new quota that will start this year in September of 7,500 more Chinook. A lot of people are confused on that. But what I need you to remember is for those of you that hunt, you have dove season, which is September 1st. That's also fall run Chinook's salmon's birthday, September 1st. It's the same birthday, dove opener, salmon's birthday for fall run Chinook. And what that means is from a management perspective, any harvest or any activities that are done after September 1st are considered a credit card fishery that are pushed off to the next year. Those fish are caught this year, but they're not actually removed from the modeling process or the harvestable surplus process until the following year. So they were able to get another 7,500 in the quota starting in September. So you will have another fishery opening this year in September for another round of up to 7,500 fish. But once those get hit, there will be no fishing anymore. So to answer your question, how did we do? Where are the numbers at? I mean, it was a wide open fishery from basically south of Bodega all the way to Morro Bay, San Luis Obispo. They caught salmon everywhere up and down the coast, wide open on Saturday. It was some of the best fishing people said that they've experienced in like over a decade. It was that good out there in the ocean. Another promising thing is they saw tons of year class of fish, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. So that's really good and healthy for the future, right? That lets us know that we're not just banking on one good, year class that actually survived and made it all the way out the Golden Gate here. We're actually looking at multiple years of fish, and by reducing the pressure of the last 2 years, that it makes it so that there's a lot more abundance out there. So I think that the thing that really clouds our vision, and to answer Ben's question in the Zoom, the shortage or how many fish are out there, I think the thing that really clouds our vision is that in the ocean out here, we're in a multiple stock fishery. So we have, fish coming from so many different areas. We've got fish coming, up here from the Klamath. We have coastal Chinook. We have all the fish coming out of the eel. And then you have fish that are coming out of the Central Valley. Then you have fish coming out of the San Joaquin. Okay. And the fish that are coming out of the San Joaquin McCollum system, those don't count towards our federal escapement numbers of what needs to come home in order to manage the fishery. And neither do some of the other state managed fisheries. And so therefore, those fish don't really count when it comes to how are we managed and how do we open an ocean fishery and how do we not. You were only managed on the Klamath and Trinity and the Sacramento, Feather, and American rivers. And so those are the systems that have to be healthy in the mixed stock fishery out here in the ocean in order to have a fishery.
It seems way complicated.
Very complicated.
Sorry, I probably way overcomplicated it.
No, but I mean, it definitely shows there's a lot that goes into these decisions, and there's a lot of people involved, and it's not as simple as just one person or one organization making a call. It's definitely a democracy of trying to figure it all out. It's very interesting, I'll be honest.
Yeah, you should try to come to one. Honestly, it would just open your eyes. I tried to get some of my board to come. I've had board members come in the past, and they're like, "Are you kidding me?" And like when I was on the council seats, when they had me serving 5.5 years, I would sit in those hotels for 8 days, 7 nights, 12 hours to 16 hours a day. And you would have members of the public coming in to make comment, and you were the representative. And so you had to listen to their comment and then, try to make adjustments to try to serve the people of California and the people and to divvy out the fish according to who gets what piece of the pie, the commercial fleet, the charter fleet, the rec fleet, the inland, the escapement for the species. And that's how it all gets divvied up, is through that process. But it's an amazing process. Like this next year, it's going to be in Sacramento for the first time in like 6 or 7 years, actually longer than that, because I started on the council in 2019 to 2024. So it was like 2018 the last time it was in Sacramento, but this next year it will be in Sacramento. You can pop in for a day and kind of listen to all of the topics, but it's 24 hours a day salmon for that week where you talk about all the different things. And it's really good to learn different insight from different states. The tribes come from different states. Washington tribes come down a lot, have a lot of good insight. They run a lot of hatcheries. Idaho has Nez Perce tribes that are running good hatcheries up there. There's a lot of good things that you can learn from the other states of adaptive management, HSRG, PBT monitoring, many different things from salmonids that we learn from each other by what each state is finding in their successes for salmon and what others aren't. But what's unique to our system in the Central Valley, in the Sacramento Valley, is that we are unlike any other system. The demand for water is 400% of what we have. And so everyone wants that water. And so who loses out? The fish. The fish are losing out every single time. And a lot of people are very uneducated on, the water delivery system on this state. They're uneducated on really what happens for water and what it means to have cold water pool and, habitat and, refuge for these fish to go through their life stages. But they are the most remarkable fish. And I think one of the most interesting things is today is the ports down in this Bay Area right now, we're booming. The highest, economic impact that we've seen in 3 years all around the Bay. And then today, ghost town, crickets. Yeah. Salmon's closed again, and nobody's fishing again. I think I saw Jay Lope said that like 2 boats were out compared to every single boat on his dock were out yesterday. So it goes to show you salmon is the driver, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So did the commercial guys get any time to fish too, or
they didn't? The commercial guys chose in April to shut down their season completely and to allocate their section of fish 100% to the river to allocate for spawning and to rebuild. They thought that it was irresponsible to go fishing this year, and I agreed with them in a lot of stance. And a lot of our board of directors felt that it was probably irresponsible to go out there and advocate for huge fisheries. It was irresponsible to go out there and advocate to go try to, hit this after what we just saw. We predicted this whole downfall and closure coming. We told everyone it was going to happen. They all laughed at us in 2020, 2019, 2021. And then in 21, when it hit 3rd year in a row, they're like, you guys might be onto something. We're like, it's too late. You can't stop it now, because whatever we advocate for today, like in 2025, what I'm advocating for affects us in 2027 and 2028. So we're always 3 years behind. So what's affecting us today are what I advocated for in 2022. And so that's what a lot of people don't understand with salmon, is that 3-year life cycle really makes it difficult for one, monitoring and then avocation, because you can't do, fast management with some of the bureaucratic process of, government of how it functions.
Yeah. That was awfully nice of them to donate that. That's a hard hit. That's your livelihood to say, well, I'm going to just not do this year. That's I guess that would be just basically looking out for the fishery.
Yeah, they really did. Their president, George Bradshaw, is a very honorable guy, and I think that he's really in it for the right reasons. Very good friend of mine and colleague, and he knows the ocean fishery better than anyone. I'm very, proud and honored to have learned so much from all of my mentors and my predecessors before me and board members before me. And the amount of knowledge that's been instilled in me is just very scary, to be honest with you. It's like, I go back to our founders. When I became president in 2016, I went back to our founders and I wanted to get all of the historical knowledge from them, right? Like, tell me what happened before I was born. I'm an 80 baby, so I'm the last year of Gen X. So I'm not a millennial, but let me know what's going. Let me know what happened. All the boomers. Tell me what happened back in the 60s and the 70s in the salmon fishery. And it was really, really good to hear all of that information early for me, because it gave me a good foundation and base of a lot of things that happened prior to the CVPIA. Post CVPIA 1992, I'm very fluent with it, with my original board and all of the board members that have served with me. I think I don't know exactly how many board members I've served with individually separate, but it's got to be approaching 50 different people out there that have served on the board with me at NorCal Guides since 2016. Normally run 9-person board with 5 guides and 4 sportsmen or women. It's a great board that's really out there advocating for all of you and everybody that's out there to try to get these fisheries open and everything else. So once we got to that ocean season, so that's what got set for the ocean. To get back to that, you had those 2 quotas, the 7,000 and for this season and the 7,500. And then you go to the inland season that gets set. You asked me, I should answer the question. You asked me whether I think the quota got hit. It's like, well, according to social media and everything I saw, I think they're going to hit the quota in those first 2 days. I think they're probably going to go over the quota. And then depending on what the expansion is, it could go way over. I don't know how they will expand that, right? Because CDFW can't predict every fish that they touched is the only fish that got caught. They have to add a little buffer on the top. Is called their expansion. That's what they do on all harvest creel surveys. So that's my estimate there, because it was wide open. The fishing wasn't as good in Fort Bragg out in the ocean, and Crescent City was really slow in some parts. There were some boats that did okay. I think I heard one charter boat got limits up there. I didn't hear from a few other charter boats. And then I heard from a few of my board members that live up there that it wasn't the best, but there were some silvers around, silver salmon that were down from Oregon that were being caught and obviously released, because we're not allowed to retain those. And so those were those reports. Moving into, do you have any other questions about ocean, or then I'll move into inland?
Nope. Keep going inland. A lot of the guys here are inland guys, because they get out to the ocean.
Yeah, so moving inland, so that's where we've got all of the fisheries get approved by May 15th every year. This year, our organization supported the department's recommendations. We worked with CDFW early in the year to establish, would there be allowed to have some fishing? And I basically told them that our board of directors wants parity with the ocean. If the ocean closes, then we should close. If they don't close and they open, then yes, we would advocate for a fishery so that it's equal, so that everybody has opportunity at the resource. And so that decision was made and agreed upon. And so the best that we could get were the Feather River from July 16th to September 15th, 1 fish and 1 in possession. So that means that if you catch a fish that day and you take it home and stick it in your freezer, you're done salmon fishing until you either A, smoke that fish and process it, or turn it into something, or B, you give it away or gift it, and then you can go salmon fishing again. So remember that it is only 1 in possession this year. That's the different rule than normal. But the state felt that was adamantly important to not encourage multiple days of harvest from individuals. It was more so this is an opportunity of trying to get everyone to get out there to go catch a couple of fish in the year. But this isn't about, packing your freezer like when we have wide open seasons and it's 2 to 3 fish limits with 4 to 6 in the possession. So that is the rule as far as that goes for the Feather River. Now, when we get to that September 15th, from Live Oak, 200 feet north of Live Oak, all the way to the outlet hole, that's going to close on the 15th in the evening at sunset. On September 16th, you can still fish below Live Oak through Yuba City all the way to the Nicholas Bridge through October. So that's kind of nice too for all of my friends in Yuba City, Marysville, and all that area. You're all going to be able to fish down in that area all the way through October, which is nice. Same rules: one fish, one possession. So you get that opportunity this year. The American River is going to open, and it has a couple of different section openings on the upper two sections, and we've posted those to the website. And you're going to get fishing opportunity into October in both the American, and then the same with the Moke down in the McCollum River. It's going to open at the mouth, and it goes all the way up, and all those sections are going to be open. They start closing down earlier, the higher up on the river, and then they'll keep the bottom ends of the river open. And all of those regulations I have confirmed with the chief of fisheries today, actually, and I had a call with them, and we have confirmed that they're just waiting for the Office of Administrative Law to confirm the inland regulations and print the booklet and then get it out. It should be out in the next 2 weeks, but I know everybody's going to be kind of panicking, but I would say, don't panic. But by June 25th, I think that we should see that document probably cross everybody's line. So you'll see the actual physical rules, the lines and everything. But keep in mind that you cannot fish down by Verona anymore up to the Nicholas Bridge this year, at least this year. That is a new section that has been closed because in the past, they've seen a lot of those Sacramento fish that will creep up to Beer Can Beach, and they'll sit at Beer Can Beach for about a week or a little bit less, and then they back down and then they shoot up the Sacramento because they realize they're up the wrong river. So that's very common for our sac fish to go up to Beer Can Beach and then turn around and go back down. So with that being said, just make sure you know where your boundary lines are, but that booklet will come out in a couple of weeks, and hopefully everyone will get some opportunity. For those of you out on the coast, the Klamath and the Trinity have also been closed for the entire year. There will be opportunity on the Smith River this year for salmon, and there will be catch and release fishing for salmon, big coastal Chinooks on the eel this year as well. That will be open. So in the fall. So those are your opportunities for California Chinook salmon this year.
All right. Well, it looks like your hard work's paying off a little bit at a time.
Now, does
A little at a time. It's going to get much better next year. It'll get much better the following year. And we're working really hard with a lot of the things we're doing at ncgasa.org. We're doing a lot of things with the Bridge Group and with the feds. We're going to see about 14 million extra salmon being raised out of the Coleman National Fish Hatchery for 10 consecutive years. So we're talking upwards of over 100 million fish are going to be raised because of our advocacy with the Bridge Group, which is the commercial fleet, the charter fleet, our group, and the water districts of Northern California in the backyards of Glenn, Colusa, Tehama, Butte County, Yuba, Sutter County. Everybody's working hard together collaboratively to trying to find a way to get these salmon. And so right now, Coleman is going to be boosting production. The Feather River's boosting production. The Feather River's also doing the PVT monitoring. If I could say something about the PVT monitoring, just for your listeners, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
A lot of people have this clash. We always see the clash of dropping salmon smolts on top of stripers, right? We see the clash of salmon and stripers. So a lot of people don't understand why that happens. And it happens because the departments, the agencies have to wait for that salmon to grow to a certain size. Once the salmon gets to a certain size, then they can go be put in the trailer to get the tag in their head and get their fin cut off. But it takes up to about 12 to 16 weeks to get the fish to grow to that size, to go in the trailer to get the tag so that it can be released. The problem with that system, and that's been happening for 20 years now, is that puts those fish in jeopardy, because now you have stripers in the river when it's time to release those fish in April. So what our group has advocated for, and all the agencies have agreed to and are working towards, is every single one of those have decided that they've agreed that they will allow the parental-based tagging to move forward as the new monitoring for the future. Now, this doesn't mean that we're going to get away from the code wire tags immediately, but what it does mean is that we've already allocated millions of dollars in the Prop 4 money. The department spent millions of dollars. I want you to think of Ancestry.com for adults. That's what that PBT is. You're basically taking the genetic samples of mom and dad, and that way you know what the babies in the hatchery are. You don't have to do any other type of monitoring. When we catch them, we do a tissue sample, or when they die in the river or we catch them in the river, we do a tissue sample, and that's how we identify who they are, just like Ancestry.com on the humans. So that's going to be the future, and it's already being implemented in the Pacific Northwest and some of the smaller rivers. We brought that recommendation to the state, and the state accepted it, and we're moving full steam ahead. Now, what that means for all of you is that in the future, if the fish is this big or that big or that big in the hatchery or that big in the hatchery, it doesn't matter because they already have the genetic code on it now. So they can release that fish as soon as the water conditions are perfect. Boom, we got a big rainstorm event. Let go pond 2, 4, 6, and 8, right? Hey, we got another storm next week. Let go ponds 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and they're going to be able to do that. Whereas before, it's like, we can't get the fish to the tagging trailer in time. Well, we're just going to have to do the best we can, do everything we can, and then they drop the fish. Moving the fish down to the Colusa and the Butte City has been our recommendations also. And the reason that we've recommended that is because we've seen higher survival rates of those fish. Believe it or not, even though a lot of those fish got eaten, there was a lot that made it out. The acoustic tags showed really high survival on some of the groups. So even though there was a lot of fish that got eaten, a lot of fish made it. And the ones that made it, it's a numbers game. That's why salmon have 5,000 eggs. It's not like humans where you have 1, maybe 2. It's a numbers game with salmon. You've got to have a lot of fish. Our hypothesis is, if you really want to know in the Sacramento River why it's collapsed so bad and why everyone's giving stripers such a negative outlook, is because in the older days, you had upwards of 400 million eggs going into the gravel every single year on average, historically. 400 million, okay? So you think about that, how many tens of millions survived that? Let's just say 25% survived. 100 million, okay? Now you let go your little 12 million from Coleman on top, you have 112 million going down the river. They get camouflaged in. They don't get seen. Okay, but now, the last 5 years, we've been averaging like 16 to 24 million eggs in the gravel. Okay, again, 25% survival, folks. You have 6 million fish floating with 12 million. Now you have 18 million floating down the river. They're going to get predated upon more. It's a numbers game. We got to get the numbers up. We got to get more fish out, and we got to get more fish to return and advocate for proper water flow, so that the fish start rebuilding and we start getting more fish in the future.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
It's a very complex system.
Very complex.
So the guys that don't know, now you know. You heard it here first.
Ask me some short questions. I'll try to give short answers, lightning round if you want, or something.
I got a question. Does that quota in the ocean affect the season inland?
Good question. It does not. We have an individual quota inland this year of 8,000 Chinook that we left the PFMC council process with, but the department doesn't even think that we can hit that. And I agree. We can't catch 8,000 feather and American fish on a 1 fish limit in the seasons that they allowed us to fish. It just can't happen. There's not enough fish that are going to come back to our system in July and August to even allow that to happen. There will be some fish that come back after the August moon. So if you're looking to hire a guide or you're looking to find that time off, get all your honeydew chores done in July. I mean, you might want to fish the opener, but get them all done in July, because you're going to want to be fishing after the August moon. That's when those fish are going to move into the system, and that's when you're going to have your best opportunity. I think there will be some good weeks of fishing, and I think that everyone needs to focus, on those times to really try. I think after the September moon, you're going to start seeing the American and mokefish move in, and you're going to have a really good October down in the McCollum.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anybody online that has questions? I know we have a lot of people muted. I don't know, Eric, there's a way you can see if anybody's unmute or wants to be unmuted.
There's some things in the chat too.
Okay.
Just been asked if they got subsidized, but that was a while ago.
Okay,
Subsidized.
So so the 2023 disaster was filed, and it was cut by like over 40% by the federal government, and it was originally cut by almost half by the original estimates, and they awarded 20.6 million that just went through the application process and just finished last week. So they still don't have money from 2023's disaster, and all of the guides and the charters and the commercial fleet that were affected might see some of that money by the end of next month is the estimate. So it's going to be almost 2.5 years for them to even get some of that money. And we've already been told the 2024 disaster probably will never be paid out.
Wow.
So a lot of people lost a lot in that livelihood. And it was just, it was another reason that I thought it was very important to have some opportunity this year to try to keep people alive, because trying to sit out for 3 full years of salmon is something we've never done before. We sat out for 2 years before in 08, 09, and 07 was terrible. So it was the same. It was just like 21 was terrible, 22 was terrible, 23 is terrible, 24 is closed. We've had 4 years that have been terrible. So having a little opportunity this year, I think, is going to be a blessing to get everybody their omegas and try to go out there and rip on a big king salmon.
Now, do you think with the closing of salmon for the last couple of years, do you think that has an effect on other fisheries like, say, halibut and stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. So absolutely it does. That's the short answer. And the technical scientific term is effort shift. So we see effort shift wherever we go. We naturally see effort shift amongst anglers when they move from striped bass to lakes to salmon, and then moving into a fall fishery into sturgeon or something like that. And we naturally see that progression. But what we also see is when heavy closures happen, we see huge amounts of effort shift from the ocean into the bay. We see huge amounts of effort shift out of the rivers into the lakes. So yes, that does happen, and that's not a good thing at times. I mean, right. It really hurt the halibut fishery years ago, and it was one of the reasons that when Golden Gate Fishermen's Association, GGFA, came to me a couple of years ago and said, we've got to reduce the halibut from 3 to 2. The collapse of salmon next year, this was in 21 or 22, they said the collapse of salmon is going to make everyone fish for halibut. And they were right. And it was probably the best thing that we all ever did. And I know that we took that cut from 3 to 2 halibut, but allowing that 3 halibut would have wiped that fishery out, because everyone was fishing halibut the last couple of years. And what do you think everyone's going to do the next 3 weeks while they're bored waiting to see if we get to go salmon fishing again? They're all going to fish halibut and stripers. And the stripers, go ahead.
I went out one time for halibut this year in my boat, and we were out there in the fleet, and we didn't see any halibut being pulled in. It was all stripers.
Yeah, there is a lot of stripers this year.
What I've heard, though, is the halibut is not very good this year.
Yeah, it has started dwindling. There has been a few good days for some captains, but yes, I think that you're starting to see that turn, like what's happening, right? And I think that that's the answer of all of this high effort shift over the last couple of years, taking out a lot of your spawning class fish. So it's something that does happen, and it's cyclical. So it happens in cycles, and, there's some things that are, within our control and some things that are without our control. But, most of it for guys like us, we have zero control on how the state operates their water policy and how the California State Water Board what they're going to allow, how much fresh water they're going to allow to come out this Golden Gate. Because I can tell you, when fresh water doesn't come out this Golden Gate at least a 20,000 CFS outflow, 20,000, we have failing fisheries. I mean, I've looked at all the evidence. I've looked at multiple scientific papers. I've reviewed it all. I've looked at it all. We've come to that conclusion that if we have 20,000 CFS going out the Golden Gate, which is not that much, 20,000 CFS is not that much. I tell people, when we're flooding, the Sacramento's pumping like 300,000 plus. So when we're really flooding, right? I mean, YOLO's spilling like 180,000, Sutter's spilling, Calusa's spilling, all the weirs are spilling huge amounts of water. It's like you just need 20,000 CFS consistently in the spring months to go out. That flushes out all of our anadromous species from sturgeon, steelhead, striper, and salmon. It gets them out. It allows them to live. Then if we have good ocean conditions, you have that real good chance that those fish are returning.
Okay. Good to know.
Yes,
Good
sir.
question.
Any other questions?
No. So, you want to comment about the mussel situation going on in California?
Sure. Yeah. I've been in some meetings there, so I wasn't excited to hear about the mussel situation because I'm like, I don't need anything else on my plate this year. I've been so busy with everything that's been going on, and I've got striped bass and sturgeon on my docket the rest of this year. As everyone's going to try to go salmon fishing, I'll be working on striped bass and sturgeon for my job, and then getting ready for our big dinner in November. November 8th is the dinner this year, and then right after that, I'll be prepping for salmon seasons again and everything we've got to work on for salmon. But yeah, golden mussels. I've sat in a few meetings with CDFW. We've sat in a few meetings with DWR. We've sat in a few meetings with elected officials. We've sat in a few meetings with the California State Boating and Waterways. Our lobbyist has met with the National Marine Manufacturers Association, with ASA, American Sport Fishing Association, and with Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation, which are all federal organizations that are supporting, the ability to make sure that we keep anglers on the water. I think that that's our main focus, what we support from the organization side. It's kind of outside of our mission statement, but the access part of it is within our mission statement, that our organization always fights for all of you to have access to all of our fisheries as best as we can. And so from that standpoint, we've been advocating to put some type of system in place within these water agencies and mitigators in order to properly inspect vessels and allow vessels to move between waterways properly, keeping them clean and dry. Make sure you remove your drain plug. I mean, it's already illegal in other states, Nevada, Oregon, others. You have to have your drain plug out or it's a ticket. So when you're traveling through the state, so you always have to take your drain plugs out. I know that a lot of us that grew up in California, you're used to just leaving your drain plugs in. Can't do that anymore. You got to open your drain plug. You got to dry it out wherever you're going. But I'll just say that the mussels have been here. They're not new. A lot of people think they're new. They went back to their old water samples, and they found traces of the golden mussel all the way back to their October 2023 water samples. So they've been here for a little bit longer than we thought. And with that, you're going to start seeing, I think, a lot more avocation amongst at least the fishing groups for mitigation through the ports. And I think that the ports should pay for this. This is something that we are doing international trade, and this is way outside my mission and scope, but I'm just going to kind of give you the basis that, I mean, we're doing international trade with agencies on the billions of dollars to bringing in luxury goods and items into the state of California from foreign entities. And we're allowing these foreign entities to dump their wastewater within our bay, which is absolutely ridiculous. and not having any oversight over that, and then not to mitigate that on like a negative deck and come back and say, listen, we're going to have, these issues, you're going to have to clean it up, and we're going to need millions of dollars to do that. So what I can say is CDFW has opened up $1 million grant to agencies and groups that want to apply for that to buy decontamination trailers. And so that is actively starting. We're supporting Kokanee Power.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to do a grant for 5 trailers to try to get 5 different trailers for 5 different lakes. We were going to advocate for 2 up in Whiskeytown and Shasta, but it sounds like Whiskeytown's going to get their own. And that's where the problem really lies in this whole situation, is that it's not like every lake is ran by the same people. Like Orville's ran by the state of California State Parks. Shasta's ran by the U.S. Forest Service. Whiskeytown, is the same. Our private federal entity. You have every single body of water has a different way of getting a legal fishing license or fishing guide permit or a legal way to do business or commerce on their body of water. And so therefore, each of those mitigators is responsible for whatever happens on their bodies of water. And so it's my and the department's, I guess, thought process that you're going to see those groups have to do their own mitigation if they want to protect their lakes. And I think that it's going to be growing pains this year and maybe next year, but hopefully there will be a universal policy or like a ban policy, at least on state lakes, so that if you go fish, a state operated lake and they have a ban that they ban your boat saying that you're clean, that ban would be accepted at another lake without having to do an inspection and a clean out and a decontamination, because that could get awfully expensive if you've got to go spend $20 to $80 every time. Tahoe's $125. Our lobbyist, Mark Smith, that works for the organization, he has a place in Tahoe. His boat's on Tahoe, and he had to pay $125 because they actually flush the whole entire motor system because there's water stored in the motor.
Yep.
Well,
so it's going to be a little bit of a nightmare.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But James, appreciate you getting on with us. Definitely appreciate everything you guys do for the fishermen, the fisheries, and the waterways. Lots of moving parts to make all this stuff happen, but definitely appreciate all you do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. I mean, the organization only is as strong as its membership, and we're representing thousands of members that are paid members. We've got, over, tens of thousands of members that follow us on social media, our platforms, our YouTube channels, and everything else. And we're very grateful to all of you that follow us. It's all, very, very supportive to hear all of the positive support, and we'll keep fighting for all of you to make sure that your kids and grandkids have better fisheries than we had. And that is the ultimate goal. We are going to have better salmon fishing, and it's going to be sustainable inland and in the ocean. We're going to have good striper fishing. We're going to keep fighting for sturgeon angling again. We're hopefully going to rebuild that steelhead fishery too. I think that we can rebuild that Central Valley steelhead fishery to what it used to be. It used to be an amazing, amazing fishery. Mm-hmm. So thank you for all your guys' support and, always being there at the derbies and everything else. So.
Yep.
Thank you.
If somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah. So if they want to get a hold of me, the best way is you can go to the website, ncgasa.org. You can sign up there to be a member. You can get my contact all there. jstone@ncgasa.org or 530-923-9440 is my cell phone. And they can always reach out to me and get any information. If it does take me a little bit of time to get back to you, be patient. I'm in meetings a lot all day, and texting always is the preferred method.
Perfect. Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much. Send your questions to James, and all that information will be on this podcast as well. And James, you're more than welcome to hang out. We got a couple minutes here. We're going to talk a little bit about catfishing. That's not regulated yet. So we're going to talk about some catfish things going on that we've coming up.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, I know a lot about catfish, and I'm a big Shasta Lake catfisherman, but I live on the Snake River too. There's my son right there on our backyard. So
Very, very cool. Very
anyway,
cool.
you guys have a good one. Thank you very much.
All right, Jen.
Appreciate you
All
Thank
right,
guys.
you.
thank you.
I got one more question though.
One more question after he gets off.
Is there any relationships? I mean,
No,
Stony Stone
this is my
and
brother
Jay
from
Stone?
my
I
brother
mean-
from another mother. No relation, no relation.
Okay.
Just
okay.
related to fishing.
I thought he was way better looking than you.
Oh yeah, he is. Catfishing. We're on the countdown.
Yes, we are.
June 28th
It'll be a
is
good time.
the good time.
It'll
So
be a good time.
looking forward to it. I want people that are watching this that are in the Catfish Bash. Remember, it's a late start. It's not a early morning start.
No.
It's 11 o'clock. Check in, and blast off is going to be about noon.
Yeah, you can go have brunch before you want.
Have brunch, hang out, do whatever, but
Yeah.
don't be stacking those fish in your live wells.
No.
There's lots of eyes out on that water, so you're going to do something
Oh, yeah.
stupid and try to cheat, you're going to get caught.
Yep. I'm going to try to make it up there this weekend.
I was hoping, but I think, I was thinking about it. My back's been out the first time in months, if not years. I haven't gone fishing on Sunday.
Yep.
Couldn't, I can't move right now. It's terrible. But it's also Father's Day next weekend. So I'm thinking I'm probably not going to be able to go because my kids aren't into fishing. Anthony's got young kids, so we might end up having
Whatever,
family
I'll
time
go by
again.
myself.
I might be able to sneak it off on Saturday, though. That's
There
the
you go.
thing is, as long as
That's
I get
what I'm
one
doing.
day, I got to do that balance thing, right?
Yep.
Unless it's a tournament,
Yeah.
it's one day with the wife, one day fishing. But that's why I started entering lots of tournaments because I can be gone all weekend. But it's a tournament, I swear.
Yeah,
No,
and I
sure.
didn't buy that pole. We got it at a raffle.
I run it. I won it at a raffle. I'm very lucky in raffles.
Yep, for sure.
But yeah, the 28th, looking forward to it. Look, today we've got 20 teams registered.
Good.
I'm assuming we're going to get some late registration
Yep.
as we get closer. You'll get some that you decide to do it the day of.
Yep, we got to double that number.
I would love
That'd
to
be nice.
double that number. We've hit 40 before. We've had
Yeah.
as many as 40, 42. But normally we're about that 20 mark. But hit or make. We have a lot of new players. I don't see a lot of the names that we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're waiting to register at the last minute.
Well, they don't want anybody following them.
That could be it too, right? If you go out last, you don't have to worry about anybody following you to your spot. You just got to worry if somebody got to your spot.
Yep. Yeah,
That's why you have multiple spots.
Yep.
For me, it doesn't matter.
yeah. You can't catch fish anywhere.
No. But no, looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. A little bit late check-in. I think weigh-in's going to be at like 8 o'clock. So
Yep.
you're not going to get that early morning bite. You're going to get more of the late, after dinner
Afternoon,
bite.
late evening, yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be
I
fun.
think everybody fishes the same conditions, though. That's the thing.
Yep.
Some people bitching about the weather and this and that. It's like we're all fishing the same conditions.
Yep.
So suck it up, Buttercup. Yes, it's going to be
Definitely.
warm. Be prepared.
Yep.
All right. Know your limitations.
Yep.
If you're subject to heat stroke, probably stay off the water.
Off there, well, yeah.
Get your shade. Get a
Yep.
nice bimini cover or
Yep.
sunscreen, hat,
Lots
whatever
of
you got to
water.
do. Lots of water, air conditioner,
Yep.
whatever it takes. Just be
Yeah.
safe. Have a
Or
good
just
time.
stay home.
Or just stay home.
Pay your entry fee and stay home. Makes it easier for us.
I love when that happens. I only know a few teams that have done that, Darren.
Yeah. Well, you know where I'm coming from now, though.
I do, though. I do.
Uh-huh.
Don't mess with your back.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have nothing else today. So we didn't fish this weekend.
No.
Next weekend, I'm probably not fishing again. I'm
I can
guessing.
say, I think the one fishery report I could probably give is it looks like the shad are starting to hit on the American River.
Right.
Every time I cross over that bridge over there on Sunrise, there's a shit ton of people out there.
On the bank?
Yeah. Well, wading out. There's the walk bridge. They're fishing off the walk bridge, and then a little bit further down, you got the guys all in their waders wading out there. There's probably 10, 15 people wading out there this evening on the way here.
Do they wear waders because they can't cast far enough?
Yeah, you want to get out there a little bit further where the deeper water's at.
Yeah, but if you have a good, if you can cast, you don't have to get waders.
Yeah, but it's pretty far. You couldn't cast that far.
I just see all these guys dying in the river because they're out in waders and they slip and fall and get
Yeah.
sucked down. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to reach it from shore.
Yeah, well, you just got to be smart about it.
Yeah, well,
It's not it's the same with the boat. You know,
This
know
is
your
true.
limitations.
and this is why I don't use waders.
Yeah,
I'd slip
they
and
don't
fall.
have any in your size.
No, extra small. Well, it's small feet but a big belly. It's
Yeah.
gotta,
Yeah.
they don't taper that much.
No,
In order to fit the
Upside-
belly, the legs are huge.
upside down pair.
Anyway,
All right.
all right. So next week, what do I have for next week? Look at my list here. Down the list, we're all the way down here. So next
Yeah.
week, the 16th,
Daniel.
my other brother from another mother, Daniel Fountain with Hook 'em Big.
Yes,
We're gonna have Daniel on talk about his
Wonderful rods.
rods,
these wonderful rods.
his racks. Talk about how we met and some of the things we've been through. I met him through catfishing,
Yeah.
and yeah, Daniel's a great guy. He really promotes the hell out of the podcast.
Yes, it does.
He shares it everywhere. So Daniel, definitely appreciate all you do, and yeah, I can't wait to get you on and people get to learn more about you on a personal level.
Yep.
And so that's
That'd
it.
be good.
Man. Thanks for checking in with Old Farts Fishing, a minute with Stony Stone, and my buddy here.
Darren with Team Sift, and stay safe out on the water.
Stay safe till next week. Peace out.
Bye.